Kevin says on commentary that Jonah's still a member of TMDK. Yeah.
See, you know what? I mean, Jonah could be a member of him because, like, at this point, I'm not convinced that Bronson Reed is not in the middle of a massive mental breakdown of some kind where he's having this identity crisis of is he Bronson Reed or is he Jonah? Yeah, I'm okay with that. If Jonah wants to come back, I'm good with that. I just keep the nipples contained.
Let the nipples fly, man.
No nipples.
Nipples everywhere.
No nipples.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to NJPW Puroresu Review. I am your host, Andre C. Right over here is my co-host, the beautiful Melball. How you doing today, Melball?
I am doing great, Andre. It is getting into the weekend here. It's St. Patty's Day today. I'm not wearing my green right now. Not that you guys can see.
No, anyway. I think with this T-shirt, there's like there's tiny little dots on it, and there's a couple, some that are green. So that's my St. Patty's Day green right there.
We'll go with it.
Literally, I was wearing a red shirt. I wore a red shirt to work today, and I wear a red vest at work because I work at Lowe's. And so I put a piece of green tape on my T-shirt and a piece of green tape on my vest to say, okay, I'm wearing the green. Nobody can touch me.
That seems a bit like cheating, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
I had green on. I had green on me, so
hey, whatever works. And we had some amazing wrestling that we got to take in the last little while. This amazing New Japan Cup tournament has been coming on and like going hard, man. This has been a great tournament so far. Andre, overall, how are you feeling about it?
So far, so good. There's been some interesting winners in the first rounds too, and then even into the second round. The couple ones I was expecting, I'm like, I'm expecting this guy to go through, and no. So
surprise.
Especially the first round, there was a huge upset on the first night. We're going to talk about the March 10th night, and there's a huge upset in there, which is like, yeah.
It's sus.
Like I'm very okay with it, but I personally am.
We'll see how we feel when we get there. Let's get into it, Andre.
Before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to Rogue Energy. Scan the QR code in the bottom right hand corner and use the code OLEPODS for 10% off your order. Go to rogueenergy.com. Lots of great stuff. I got my Mina Shaker Kawa that I got from Rogue Energy right here. Enjoy.
Nails are matching the barcode.
There you go. Perfection. So we are going to get into this. We start off on the March 10th edition of the New Japan Cup. We start off talking about Zack Sabre Jr. and the front man.
Ichiban Sweet Boy.
The front man, Zack Sabre Jr. and the Ichiban Sweet Boy, Kosei Fujita, taking on House of Torture, Sho and Yujiro. Yeah, those guys. TMDK with pulling out a couple tricks from the House of Torture and attacking for the bell. It's like, no, screw you guys. We know you always attack us. So I really did like that. Sabre stomping on the contorted arm of Yujiro and then catches Yo coming in. Or sorry, not Yo, Sho. I wrote Yo. I don't know why. I always do that when I'm writing stuff about Sho. I always write Yo. I don't know why. Because Yo coming in with a guillotine. And it's like this beautiful like guillotine suplex. Like I was like, oh, like he had him like in a guillotine, then he just like no, and flips him over, and I was like, nice. I really like it. I didn't actually track what was the move that was taught in this match. Did you catch that one?
I don't remember now.
I haven't tracked.
I just watched the 12th show, so that one's fresh in my mind.
I have it tracked on the other two, but this one I didn't actually get it on this one. Yeah, Sabre getting Yujiro in the rope in a Kimura, and then Fujiro getting Sho in the Kimura, but Sho gets to the ropes. Sho hits a low blow on Fujita and hits the shock arrow. At least I think that's what it's still called.
I believe so, yeah.
Because Kevin Kelly just keeps saying pile driver.
Yeah, because like Shock Arrow was something that it's definitely more what he was when he was a
3K.
face. You know,
It was
being a
more
bad guy
3K.
here, he's the murder machine. Maybe it should be
Okay,
called
the
the Murder
murderer.
Arrow. I don't know.
No, it's the murder. We're calling it right now. It's the murder machine. It's named after his nickname. It's the murder machine. We'll call it that.
Works for me.
Hits the murder machine, gets the win. Not really surprised here. You can see it in certain matches in the first couple matches most nights. Actually, really most of the undercard matches. You can see who's going to be the guy taking the pin in most matches.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's Fujita. Sadly, it was Fujita. But yeah, a fun little opener match.
I agree. I didn't have too much written down on this one. Just because with the House of Torture involved, it is very hard for me to be interested in the match. You know, Zack, Sabre Jr. and Fujita doing their best to actually make it a good, fun opener, though, and they, I think, did a very, very good job of that. Yeah, I don't actually have a whole lot on here except for I'm disappointed that Show needed to pull out the low blow, but not again overly not surprised because it's House of Torture. But
I want more for the guy.
To see it actually be a clean.
I want to see more from the guy. As simple as that. But we keep getting evil level antics.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to another House of Torture match. Dick Togo and Evo taking on Just Four Guys, Taichi and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. HOT bullshit again off the top, because like I get it when other teams will jump them and things like that, because it's what House Torture does. But again, House Torture does it almost every single match they're in, and again they jump them, beat them up on the outside. Evil like literally gets the mic and says something that I don't know what he said, because I know like 5 words in Japanese right now, maybe 6 as I learned.
Yeah, and Chris Charlton not on commentary right now. He's in Tokyo.
No, and you won't get him for the next couple of nights at least. But yeah, just a lot of House of Torture stuff off the top, choking with the t-shirt, running him into the exposed turnbuckle, Togo garroting Kanemaru, but Taichi breaking it up. The ending was kind of fun. Togo drinks the whiskey, but due to interference to stop, but Kanemaru ends up spitting the whiskey into the face of Togo instead, and gets the roll, gets the win. I'm really happy because Just Four Guys finally get a win. That's the biggest takeaway from this.
Yes, yeah, and I wrote down, I believe this is the first win for Just Four Guys since forming essentially under their own banner in NJPW. Yeah, more with that whiskey spot. Evil essentially made Togo spit the whiskey in his own face with that. I believe it was I can't remember what the movie's called. The one where he holds the foot. The ref usually ends up holding the foot.
Oh yeah, like he spit it up and he kind of got it on his face, and then Kanemaru gave him his own.
Kanemaru was the only one who was like, he knew what he was doing with his spitting in that situation. Everybody else was just spitting in the wind at that point.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I thought it was a short and sweet match. I enjoyed it. It was a more palatable House of Torture kind of match, going along with the heels that are the heel master Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Taichi.
Yeah, I quite enjoy it. It's just a fun little match, like nothing spectacular. A lot of House Torture bullcrap, but it wasn't bad. Like the best thing I can say about a House Torture match, it wasn't bad.
It really is at this point.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, so that's a positive in my book. So
100%.
We move on to an 8-man tag. The Bullet Club's Chase Owens, David Finlay, El Phantasmo, and Kenta, with Goto taking on Strong Styles, El Desperado, Minoru Suzuki, Ren Narita, and the Master of the Ass, Ryusuke Taguchi.
God, what a title.
Or Master of Ass style? I don't know.
Yo, that's worse. I like the names.
I like doing the fun names.
They are fun.
Like Finlay taking Desperado's shirt right at the beginning, like as he's like holding it up and just tossing it in the crowd. I'm like, what a dick. And then Bullet Club pulls. Torture antic. This is like a trend a lot on these shows that people attack before the bell. And eventually I'm going to get very sick of this by everybody because it's going to get really annoying soon. Chase Owens, he was spectacular for me in this match. And the fact that the taunting he was doing against Minoru Suzuki, that was phenomenal. Like, just
hilarious,
absolutely phenomenal. Just getting in his face and just like shooting guns at him, like trying to fight him until he got beat up by Suzuki. But it was just
always how it is.
Like, up until towards the end, Taguchi seemed really disinterested in being in the match. Like, he always.
I think that was because Minoru Suzuki yelled at him at the very beginning there when he was trying to coach everyone. Remember?
Yeah,
he yelled at Suzuki, and he was like, "Oh." Yeah.
It wasn't until towards the ending that that he really got in there and started firing up, hitting the bumaye and stuff. But he seemed just because I think it was one of them. Desperado was clawing to the corner. Even Taguchi's just like, tag Suzuki. Don't tag Suzuki. Like, he didn't want that. He's pointing towards Suzuki, indicating tag him. Like,
I believe Chase Owens was in at that point though, and Minoru Suzuki really wanted to get a hold of Chase Owens.
But even I'm looking at the facials of Taguchi, who's usually this animated, like, he was just
yeah. It could also again stem from the fact that he did just get chewed out by Minoru Suzuki for trying to coach everybody. I thought that was a really cute spot at the beginning there. I also felt the development of this kind of impending implosion, if you will, starting between ELP and Finlay also took center stage in this match. ELP definitely got worked over a lot in the beginning of this match, though. I was really not surprised based on what's going on that Bullet Club didn't really come in and interfere to kind of help him out. Bullet Club is starting to feel a bit like a Mean Girl clique. You know what I'm saying? Like, they almost
exactly what it is.
Yeah. I mean, but like, it's always had moments where it's felt more organized, more associated with each other. Like, look at House of Torture. Now that they've started almost like, when you see them do their little whatever it is at the thing, you know, Yujiro is the only one who's actually throwing up the Bullet Club 2 sweets. Everyone else is doing the cigarette thing. So, like, you know, there's that kind of fracture. There's this fracture with Finlay and ELP that's really developing. You know, it's a very interesting dynamic that's kind of happening in Bullet Club, which is going to get touched on in the shows that we have coming up here. Taguchi again, I really did think he was seamless and awesome when he did get in there with, you know, throwing his ass around and everything. I actually felt that this was some of the best funky weapons that he's actually ever done, like with the height that he was getting and the connection. It wasn't looking like sloppy like it usually does with him. It was actually very on point, and as weird as it sounds, it was like he was getting his ass up in the air and hitting people in the face with it. It was actually really fantastic. But yeah, at the end there, that trash panda by Finlay pinning Taguchi, didn't actually, you know, think that wasn't going to happen. Based on just how everything is kind of going, I really did feel that they're going to build up Finlay and possibly start building up ELP a little bit more. So when they finally come to a head, it's kind of like, who really is the strongest person here?
Yeah, that's really kind of what it's going to be. Is like they're each going to be stealing wins from each other in these undercard tags, and then it's all going to come to a head probably on at whatever the April show is, or the April 20 or April, whatever the one where Mercedes is defending at. It's like, I think it's early April. That one. That's where probably these two are finally going to fight. I think. Like, it would be really weird to extend this feud for months.
That's true. And it's also very interesting in the coming shows to see how both of these men are acting towards their other faction members. We'll get into it in a couple of the other shows here. But yeah, this one, it's really interesting to see that dynamic. But as Kevin started to mention at this point, it's almost becoming an annual thing for Bullet Club to kind of go through these weird, like, transitions where they're like, oh, we're good, oh, we're not, oh, we're good, oh, we're not. It's very interesting to see.
Yeah, it's the team to kick a member out every year and just refresh it. I don't know. I like the only original member left is technically Bad Luck Fale, but he's not even in the company like in the main company any. Well, not even. He still works for them, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah, he's off kind of doing his own thing.
Yeah, this is like the NWO after all the main members had gone their own way, and it was just random people. I'm just kind of at this point like I'm okay if Bullet Club dies at this point because
Chase Owens has been there a hot minute too. I think he's the second longest
but I'm just
person
saying
in there.
like OG from the OGs.
Yeah, from the original faction, it would just be Fale.
Fale, and I just look at it and I'm like, I'd be okay with this faction breaking up and just create something new at this point, and just rally
I have
some
a question for that when we get to the March 12th show for you about that.
There we go. So we're gonna move on. 8-man tag match. It's Chaos. It's Hirooki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, and Tomoaki Han. Oh wait, I have the wrong card up here, don't I? No, there it is.
I was gonna say, I was like, that is not what my notes say.
Wait, did I? No, I didn't skip anything. I just had the wrong card up. That's it. Yeah. So Chaos, Hirooki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, and Tomoaki Hanma taking on the United Empires, the Great Okan, Jeff Cobb, Mark Davis, and Will Ospreay. This was an interesting match in how you really saw the interplay between Ospreay and Davis, because Davis coming off a win, which puts him up against Ospreay in the next round. And it's very much these two trying not to get in each other's way, but getting in each other's way and almost hitting each other and hitting each other at times. It's very much like they're not. There's like this team is a team of cohesion, but them having to face off is fucking the cohesion up, and I don't like it.
Relatable. I also don't really like it, but it is. I do feel a really, really great story that both of them are telling, leading into the match, which it has been put out. I haven't watched it yet. I'm very excited to watch it. But yeah, this match was a very interesting one. Obviously, where Yano and the Great Okan are, there's going to be choking. So of course, Great Okan alienating Yano right in the beginning of this match and choking him with his braid, sitting on his head again. You gotta love that.
Did you hear what Kevin called the braid choke? A Greco-Roman chokehold. He called it Taichi's move.
Well, now I'm just confused on what it is that's going on.
Any illegal choke's a Greco-Roman chokehold to Kevin Kelly.
I guess so. Interesting on that one. I did not hear that one. The time that Davis and Goto were in there, though, absolutely incredible. Those two just went. Really, really enjoyed seeing that. Really, really hopeful for another Bishamon Aussie Open kind of showdown there, where I feel the outcome could be a little bit different. Goto making Ospreay kick everybody pretty much in the face was hilarious. Something I've noticed with Ospreay, he's kind of doing the same thing that Suri's kind of doing right now, where he's getting that over animation again and becoming very, very, very showy in the ring. I'm kind of living for it. I don't mind Moody Broody Ospreay. Moody Broody Ospreay is a champion usually and a multi-champion at that. But I'm enjoying seeing this side of Ospreay. It's very refreshing to see, especially coming out of the tension coming from him and Davis. Andre, what do you think of this one?
I really like the point you said about Ospreay. I think because he had his whole thing with Taichi and just 4 guys, and they kind of got through. He kind of took his anger at Kenny Omega out on Taichi, and this way we're seeing now. We're getting to see him be himself again. Like we get him, see him just. He's not like at time, he get very serious and be very moody, but he's also a guy who can get very animated. Like when Jeff was doing the surfing on Yano, Ospreay's up on the second rope doing a surf thing on the ropes. Like that's I love seeing that because you haven't seen that a lot from the guy for a long time. So I really like those little things like that, man. Goto and Hanma, that dual Kokeshi to Cobb. Like I just like, yeah, Goto hit a Kokeshi. It was great. Yeah. In the end, though, Cobb hitting a big draw kick to Hanma, then hits the Tour of the Islands, gets the win. After the match, Ospreay and Davis do shake hands. So you know what I mean? But you can tell by the kind of looks that Davis is giving Ospreay and Ospreay is giving Davis. There's still something going on. Obviously, we know what's coming, but there's still neither one's perfectly comfortable right now.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, you're going into a very serious match. This is the New Japan Cup. If whichever one loses is out of the tournament, they don't want that because, Ospreay is signed with NJPW, but I don't believe that Aussie Open is technically signed with NJPW yet. So, fighting essentially for a contract, I would think it would make sense that he would want to really focus on that. And even if he is fighting his mentor, his friend, and his leader in Will Ospreay, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, like I know when we're reading, there's interest from AEW to sign Aussie Open to come work, like be AEW guys, which still opens them to be able to work New Japan dates. But they've worked a few AEW shows this last little bit before coming over for this tour, and like the rumors are out there that there's interest from Tony Khan because he wants to, rebuild that tag division, build it back up a little more because it's kind of slipping. And Aussie Open's, I think, one of the best teams you can pick for that, in my opinion.
100%. And how beneficial, I mean, just to be selfish for a second, how beneficial would that be for us having announced that AEW is going to be doing a show here in Edmonton, Alberta? I'd be a little disappointed to see Aussie Open, but like at the same time, not disappointed to see Aussie Open in an AEW show before an NJPW show. But tomato, just give me Aussie Open.
It'd be a week and a half after Forbidden Door, which kind of makes me go, I wish Forbidden Door was actually after the show we're getting in Edmonton, because then we probably get more New Japan people. But
that's true. But we can hope. Cross
Let's
fingers.
hope. Let's hope. I gotta go back a frame. Sorry. So this is the match I originally put up. It's Chaos's Lio Rush and Yo. Shota with Hontai, Shota Umino, and Tama Tonga with Yano taking on LIJ's Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, Sonata, and Tetsuya Naito. Tama taking the shirt off like within a minute into the match. That seems to be just what he's doing now. He's not like almost every match now. He's just that shirt comes off pretty much as soon as he gets in the ring.
I am not complaining about that one bit. Not going to complain even a little about that. It got off even quicker on the 12th show. Holy hot diggity dang. This match was fun. I didn't take a whole ton of notes on this one. Just felt like a lot was going on, but not enough that was sensational, fantastical enough for me to kind of write down. Something I did note, though, I really do enjoy Leo's hair on this tour, where he has it kind of braided in the two kind of thingamajiggies there. They remind me of ram horns, and it, for me, fits perfectly with what it is that he's doing in the ring, because he's essentially like a little goat running around hitting everything, and it's a good thing. He is so quick, so fast, and so just very unique with his moveset that it actually looks really, really, really good, and I really like the look on him. I really enjoyed Yo also shamelessly and hopelessly trying to put Sonata in the Paradise Lock and then finding himself in it and himself instead. Like, my guy, F around, find out. Your booty sure found out.
We'll talk about a pretty successful version of the Paradise Lock on the March 11th show.
We're coming up with that one.
Yeah, but I don't know. Overall, I enjoyed this match. I love Bushi's gear in this, but like the black and white gear looked really, really good. But in the end, Umino hits the inverted DDT, then applies the STF to Bushi, and Bushi does tap out.
Unfortunately, no Bushi's in the crowd again.
That doesn't surprise me.
Rude, rude.
You know, I love me some Bushi.
Okay.
Yeah, Bushi. But we move on to the semi-main event of the evening. It is Yoshi-Hashi taking on Kyle Fletcher of the United Empire with Will Ospreay and Mark Davis at ringside, with Great O'Con on commentary and Jeff Cobb on English commentary. Jeff Cobb, Jeff Cobb, Jeff Cobb, baby. He is front runner for guest commentator of the year for me, because that's going to be a category if we do awards at the end of this year. That is guest comment, because we get a lot of guest commentators in New Japan. So far this year, he is my number one. Dude, this guy is funny as hell. Like he's like they're talking about the buys, the champions getting buys, and Jeff says you got to buy because he's the champion of Hawaii and Guam. And I think Kevin goes, well, I'm the champion of Antarctica. Or so he says something to being a champion of Antarctica. I think he said it about himself. And I was like, what the hell?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Jeff Cobb on commentary was very, very hysterical. I really enjoyed it. That was the night he debuted his foam hand, right?
Yeah, this is the first night of the foam finger, which would return. But yeah.
Yes. And apparently that thing was quite loud.
Yeah, I very much he was a big highlight to me on the couple of shows he was doing commentary on. Just a huge highlight. Like Hanare was fine on the 11th, but like he was just
very educated.
Fine. He was fine.
We'll get to that when we get to that.
Great information, but Cobb was entertaining as a second, and the way he did everything. There was another spot from Kevin Kelly of the history lesson, which I had to bring up because it's just an interesting spot, saying that wrestling was originally taught to the Japanese, like to Japanese people, like professional wrestling, by English speakers, and that's why they do the count in English and not ichi san chi in Japanese. I was just like, huh, that's cool. Like I never knew that. Just a little bit of history bringing in, but
the more you know.
The more you know. We're gonna get into this match because this was absolutely tremendous. Kyle Fletcher worked his ass off in this, and Yoshi-Hashi was there doing the best he could. Like I don't dislike Yoshi-Hashi, but he's not the most dynamic professional wrestler. He's better. He's gotten better than he used to be, but he's still not like top shelf. But you put him in a ring with a guy like Kyle Fletcher, who's just the kicks on this kid, the speed on this kid, the hops on this kid. This guy's absolutely phenomenal. This guy loves doing enziguris to the face, to the back of the head, like. And Hashi with two Canadian destroyers in this match, one running off the ropes and another one off the second rope, hitting a Canadian destroyer to Fletcher. Like, dude, these two were just killing each other in this, man. Like, Fletcher Fletcher catches Yoshi-Hashi going for a lariat, hits him with the Zack driver, otherwise known as the Michinoku driver. Yoshi-Hashi kicking out, like, dude, it just the back and forth on these guys was just absolutely phenomenal. Beautiful Kumagoroshi towards the end by Yoshi-Hashi. Fletcher just barely kicking out before the 3 count. In the end, though, Kyle Fletcher hit that running enziguri to the back of the head, hits that tombstone pile driver, gets the win. Absolutely phenomenal match. I think one of the best matches I've ever seen Yoshi-Hashi have.
I mean, it's Yoshi-Hashi, right? In these kind of situations, this is where he actually turns it up, and he does so good. I was happy. Usually it's like G1 Yoshi-Hashi. I'm happy to see that G1 Yoshi-Hashi showed up for the New Japan Cup.
At least for
Kyle,
one
night. What's that?
At least for one night.
At least for tonight, yeah. Kyle, really, really smart, working Yoshi-Hashi on the outside of the ring there. It seems to be a very comfortable place for Kyle Fletcher on the outside there. Same with Aaron Hanare, which we will note on the 12th there. United Empire in general just seems very, very comfortable and confident on the outside, utilizing those barriers and stuff. But man, oh man, did it work out very, very well for him. He did a lot of damage to Yoshi-Hashi out there. Which I think really, really kind of played into the end of this one. The chops and the forearms that Fletcher does to Yoshi-Hashi, just the noise coming off of them, because you could see he wasn't doing the thigh slap. He was flat out hitting the guy. And man, they were loud.
That's a cupped hand chop. 2012-ish, when Jake Roberts was up here. I got that tennis seminar, and he was talking about how to chop. To get that good loud pop, you cup your hand like so there's like a bit of a space when you hit, and it gives that pop sound. Like I've heard Nicole Matthews do the same thing, and you get that pop sound, but she does that full palm one, and I don't know how the Christ she hits them so loud, but I think the way that pop you're hearing is that cup pop sound, the old school style chop. Yeah.
Thing with that too is that it also creates that pocket where it almost creates a welt on your chest when that happens too. So it's like that's how you get people like Yo, especially bleeding all over the place with his boobie. But this one was really fun. I really do enjoy Kyle Fletcher. The more I see him wrestle, the more I enjoy him. I've seen him in both of a tag team and a single competition thing. I feel like he's actually one of those guys. Him and Davis are two of those guys who can intermittently go back and forth from doing singles competition and tag team competition and be efficient and effective in both, which is very, very difficult to do for some wrestlers. Some wrestlers are just better in tag teams, like Yujiro Takahashi. Sometimes Yoshi-Hashi even. But this match, he really did step up.
Oh, very much so. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal match. We're going to move on.
We also found out Kevin Kelly hates Chef Kiss. Did you hear that on commentary?
No.
He hates the word banger, and he hates Chef Kiss. It's disappointing.
You say that a lot, so I don't know. He must hate you.
You say it. I just do it.
I don't say it. I don't know what you're talking about. I just go, mwah.
You're lying.
I do the thing. I don't say chef's kiss. What is chef's kiss? I don't remember ever saying that, but okay.
This is why you need to watch our videos before I post them.
I recorded them. I don't need to watch myself. I hate watching myself. I don't know how the rest. I still don't understand how people watch me because like I don't want to watch myself sometimes, you know. But we move on to the main event of the evening: Shingo Takagi versus Aaron Henare, with again Jeff Cobb on commentary still, Mark Davis and Will Ospreay still at ringside, and Great Khan still in the Japanese commentary. Yeah, dude. Like I made a note here. The way Ospreay acts, like not that he doesn't try to coach Fletcher, but you can see him really coaching Henare here in the way he does things. In the way he's like talking with him and things like that. He coaches him. And I think it's the same thing with Akira. Like I think that Henare and Akira are very much the proteges of Ospreay, where you have a guy like Fletcher, who yes is very young, but I think Davis is kind of that guy for him. That's like that's Davis's protege because there's a good age gap there, and then like Okan's already established. He's not really need to be anybody's protege, and the same with Jeff Cobb. They're you know what I mean. They're their own people within. So like I look at it, and I'm like the way he coaches him. I'm like, yeah, this is the guy, one of the guys he's trying to build up. And like he wants him to be at his level kind of deal. And I just noticed that versus watching the match with Fletcher, how it was Davis doing that, and this time it's Ospreay. It was very much that protege style thing. I really like that, but very much emulating influence at the start with like the way they're just doing strikes, the knees from Henare, and then like he clinches them in the ropes. Like that's how you see like guys fight to the side of the cage, or in boxing, guys like clinch to the ropes when they want to get broken up by the ref. Yeah, it was very much that like real fight aspect to start, but like really good overall. Like I gotta give so much props to Aaron Henare for his striking, all that stuff in this match, and going toe to toe with a guy like Shingo Takagi and not looking like the inexperienced wrestler. Yeah,
this one was crazy.
Yeah, it just a lot of great spots. There was a great berserker bomb by Henare to Takagi. Takagi hitting just that pumping bomber just looks like it takes somebody's god darn head off. And then there's like had him in like a gory special, and then he just let him go flying out and win the gory special slam almost. I don't know what to call it, but I love anybody that uses a variation of the gory special, whether it's the like neck breaker, whether it's the flatliner version, the slam. I just love me a gory special. Absolutely phenomenal there. Kanari with a beautiful spinning hook kick, like just like spun around and like hook kicked him in the side of the head instead of
Mhm.
like just like a heel kick. He hook kicked him, and I'm like, oh, that looked different. Dude, the end of this was just like I didn't expect this. Like Shingo trying to get the suplex, but gets a headbutt to like Hanari drops down and so he headbutts him. But Hanari comes back, smashes his own headbutt to Shikagi and hits the Streets of Rage, gets the win. And the entirety of UE, including Jeff Cobb on commentary, was like, "I gotta go celebrate," and and Kevin's like, "Go celebrate with your team," and like they all rush the ring to like jump on like Hanari and congratulate him because that's his first big win since again Tanahashi last
Mhm.
summer at the G1. So again, big spot for this guy to have and like raises his stock, beating a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
And a current KOPW champion. So did Hanare just get a chance at the KOPW title, regardless if he completes the New Japan Cup or not? He has a win over Shingo Takagi. I can't tell you how much I was like, what? No. I
What do you mean
definitely
no?
thought Shingo had this one. Again, being the former IWGP champion through arguably the hardest time to be the IWGP champion for New Japan. Man, what a brawl this was. It's just heavy, 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 heavy from start to finish. Absolutely insane. Hanari, the one spot that I had written down that you didn't touch on was when Shingo threw Hanari into the barricade. Hanari, almost completely unaffected by it, just exploded back out and fed Shingo his own lariat on the outside there.
Mm-hmm.
These guys were absolutely brutal. I loved it. It was a phenomenal match. But the end, again, as you mentioned, seeing the United Empire so supportive of their team was just very refreshing to see in a New
Mm-hmm.
Japan ring again.
Yeah, very much so. It's just nice to see these guys do that. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
give a quick card update. Who's gone where in the tournament? You have Zack Sabre Jr. moving to the second round to face Shota Umino, who moved on from the first round. Great Khan getting the bye to face David Finlay, who moved on to the second round. You have Tamatonga versus Aaron Nari in the next round. Kyle Fletcher and Hirooki Goto in the next round. Sonata versus Kenta in the next round. Naito versus Naito versus Owens in the next round. That was loud.
Yes.
That was really loud.
Sorry.
Evil versus Cobb in the next round, and Mark Davis versus Will Ospreay in the next round, which I'm very mad that those two have to face each other in the second round. Ugh. But anyways, we are going to move on to night number 2, which is the March 11th. Night number 2 for us as we're talking here. March 11th, absolutely. Again, another great card.
Mhm.
All three of these cards are absolutely phenomenal. We started out, you have Toru Yano, Tamatonga, and Oscar Loibe with Jado taking on the United Empire's Aaron Hanare, the Great O'Khan, and Jeff Cobb. Again, I'm going to get very sick of this soon. Empire attacks before the bell. I wrote with smart tactics, but honestly, I'm just starting to just go, please stop jumping people before bells. Just let it be a House of Torture thing again, please. Khan sits on
Mhm.
Yano's head in the corner. Always love it. Always love to sit on the head spot, especially when Yano gets his headset on.
Mhm. Mhm. Always.
Delayed suplex in like by Cobb, and then he just drops him into like the backwards and just backbreakers him. I'm like, that was different. And then
Mhm.
then he surfs on Yano. In the end, though, Hanare getting the rampage on Loibe gets the win. I thought really a fun little opener.
Mhm. Mhm. I have to agree. I felt that this was kind of like the powerhouse trio of the United Empire. All three heavyweights, kind of coming in on here. They function so well together, though. They have that almost Lij level of fluidity for them, where they don't even have to communicate. They just know what to do next and who's setting
Mhm.
up for who. They definitely, I felt that they picked apart this team, which I do kind of feel is a little bit more kind of thrown together, kind of like that Hontai Chaos kind of combo breaker there. Whereas like the United Empire is an established faction, and they kind of have that, as we've mentioned in the past, that brotherhood that they function so well on. Hanari in a constant state of just yelling this whole match. He did not shut the hell up. I was getting mad at this one because I'm trying to watch it while I'm eating, and all I hear is like, is Titus O'Neil here? What's going on? Hanari, I also felt was very much showcased in here with his impending match with, I believe it was Tama coming up. What I wrote down from Cobb is a ray of surfing sunshine that I have missed, and is undeniably the most talented and one of the most imposing forces in NJPW, but also one of the most hilarious and animated guys in ring.
Very much so.
It was, I've missed him. I'm so happy he's back. Whatever it was that he needed to take care of, man, bless him. I'm happy he's back because he's clearly a happy camper again.
Yeah, very much so. And like you're saying about the fluidity between the three of them, you gotta remember, Okan tagged with Cobb for a long while. He's been tagging with Hanare for that whole tournament. So like those two have that. So that fluidity makes even more sense to that the fact that there's two, like Okan's tagged with both these men, and I know Cobb and Hanari have tagged together at times, so it's not like they're so like the fluidity between the three of them makes so much even more sense than even just being a unit. It makes even more sense because these guys have worked as tag teams together, so it's 100%. So it really makes a lot of sense on the fluidity. But we move on to the second match of the show. It is Bullet Club's David Finlay and El Phantasmo, the most unlikely tag team coming out of all of this, in my opinion, versus TMDK's Ichiban Sweet Boy and the front man. I'm just going to go with that. Kevin says on commentary that Jonah's still a member of TMDK. Yeah.
See, you know what? I mean, Jonah could be a member of him because, like, at this point, I'm not convinced that Bronson Reed is not in the middle of a massive mental breakdown of some kind where he's having this identity crisis of, is he Bronson Reed or is he Jonah? Yeah, I'm okay with that. If Jonah wants to come back, I'm good with that. I just keep the nipples contained.
Let the nipples fly, man.
No nipples.
Nipples everywhere. No nipples. ELP, yeah. It's ELP and Finlay is the story of this match. It's the fact that neither can kind of agree on anything. They both seem to really just hate on each other. The arm wringer and then the flip seems to be the move of the day. I wrote that one down. Yeah, and like, was it Sabre gets the Muda lock on ELP, but then Finlay comes in to break it up. And then he gets Sabre up, but then he like intentionally pushes Sabre back down to the mat.
Yes.
Because he knows it's going to hurt ELP. And then I think he does it a second time before Sabre gets like a Cobra twist on him. And like, I really like that little thing of like, QELP and just pushes the guy and pushes Sabre back down. I'm like, you could have lost your team the match there, dumbass. Because if you would have tapped to that being pushed back down, that's your loss, man. That would have been your fault, like completely.
I don't think David Finlay would have looked at it as being his fault, though. He's kind of seeming a little bit of a pretentious
he would never admit now. He would never admit that, but we all know it would be.
100%.
Yeah, ELP hitting a beautiful line assault and sets up for sudden death, but Finlay tags himself in. So Sabre interferes, but Sabre is taken out by ELP. Fujita gets the Euro clutch onto Finlay, but he kicks out, hits the Blue Thunder bomb. Like Finlay hits the Blue Thunder bomb on Fujita and gets the win. I thought it was a fun match, and it's just developing that story between Finlay and ELP.
I'm happy to see that David Finlay's hair is fading and that his beard is looking ginger again.
Yeah, it's nice because it's just like that was way too dark.
I just didn't like it in general.
Well, it didn't suit his complexion.
Yeah, it makes him look paler than he is. And to be honest, like something like that, you can't just have a solid color like that. You need the color in there for the dynamic, not just that nasty little white stripe in the front there. The red popping through with the darkness a little bit adds a little dynamic to it. I think it completes the look a little bit better, especially with the jacket and the thorny bits that he has on his shoulder pads there. Yeah, this one, yeah, I have a question present to you. I'm gonna do that for the 12th show, but it's very interesting the problems that have arisen within Bullet Club and the problem solvings that is not or is happening.
Yeah, we'll get to that question
Mm-hmm.
eventually. We'll move on to 8-man tag, House of Torture versus Just Four Guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have anything for this because I kind of halfway checked out of this match as I was watching it. I got the ending. Show gets a low blow on Taka Michinoku. His shock arrow gets the win. I just don't have a lot. I like that Just Four Guys, but I was just kind of where I was watching this yesterday. I wasn't feeling that good, and I just was like kind of checked out and like was looking at random stuff while this match was
Mm.
going on, and I just really didn't feel like noting on it because again, it's just more House of Torture stuff, and Just For Guys is fun enough, but when they're facing off with House of Torture, I don't know.
You can only do so much when you're facing off with House of Torture. I mean, if House of Torture is just doing its shenanigans, it's literally up to the other team to make the match interesting or not. And it's not to say that the four guys can't, but it's like when you're fighting the force that is House of Torture and they're working so hard to make it shit, it's really hard to fight the shitstorm that is House of Torture. Yeah, I was the same way. I just kind of wrote it had some moments around the beginning of where it had flashes of being a decent match, but then it quickly just dissolved and lost my interest with the shenanigans starting. What I did have, the good thing that I had that came out of this is that Doki is just amazing. He's so quick, he's so talented, he's so good at what he does. I think he's the silent star, almost like the Mirai, the quiet riot of the just four guys. But yeah, after the whiskey spot, where again they took the whiskey and started drinking it all and pouring it all over everybody, I was just like, I'm not interested anymore. Which is
Yeah,
again such a shame because we know how good Show is. We know that Dick Togo can actually wrestle pretty decently. And we know that Evil on his own without any of the Bullet Club House of Torture bullshit in his corner. He's actually a good wrestler. But like altogether, it's just a clusterfuck.
it always is, and we're gonna keep talking about it because they're gonna keep showing up, and I just getting
Yeah,
tired. But Gato's never gonna let that bit go. We all know that.
that's true.
It
Unfortunately,
makes
House
me
of Torture is a
very
very
sad.
marketable name.
It makes me very sad. But we move on. It's Chaos, Leo Rush, Tomohiro Ishii, and Yo taking on LIJ's Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Shingo Takagi. Again, I didn't take a lot of notes on this one either. Ishii and Takagi, great sequence off the top, just smashing
Mhm.
into each other, just beating the hell out of each other. Leo N just taking out everybody. I love it. The ending comes. Beautiful twisting Asai moonsault from Leo Rush to
Mhm.
Hiromu and Bushi on the floor. The fact that he added the twist into it made it look really good. Puts
Mhm.
Bushi back in the ring, hits the final hour frog splash, gets the win. So yeah, really, I thought just a really fun overall match. I just didn't have a lot to write out of it. There was nothing like that really. It was a good match. Just nothing really popped in it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Outside
There
the
was
finish.
one funny spot that I noticed at the very, very beginning. It was even before like the match started, where they were kind of picking and choosing who was going to go into the ring and all that. Did you notice Leo volunteered to go first, and then he like Ishii had noticed that Takagi had actually volunteered to go first, and he pretty much no boyed Leo Rush out of the
Yeah.
freaking ring.
And Leo Rush is, if you think about it, is that little dog that wants to fight every big dog he sees. That's
Yeah,
who Leo. That's the kind of
like my
person Leo.
Chihuahua.
Yeah, very much so. He's very much that. So but you're like Ishii's just like, no, get back in there. Like just simply like no.
Pretty much,
So,
and that's what I wrote down. He no-boyed him out of the ring. He's like, not going to happen. Again, Rush just so quick, so creative with those moves that he comes up with. He can just stop on a dime. The momentum can just change on him, just like in a split second of a second. It's absolutely incredible. Can't forget though, Bushi with his amazing tope. Bushi. With his amazing tope suicida there. He had a really, really great one to the outside there. But again, as you said, Leo pinning Bushi. It's one of those things where when you look at these big undercard kind of multi-people things, you know, if you're playing the NJPW collection game and you're doing the predictions to win all those awesome prizes, it kind of almost becomes an easy thing where it's like, okay, which one on the other team is picking it up? But that being said, I mean, Bushi's still an incredible talent. I always look forward to seeing the Bushirooney. I don't think I saw it this match, though.
I don't think we got a Bushirooney on this one.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
So we move on. 6-man tag, Bishamon, Hirooki, Goto, and Yoshi-Hashi with Tomoaki Honma taking on the United Empires, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis, Will Ospreay. Hanari, this is where Hanari joins English commentary. And Khan joins the Japanese commentary team. I think Hanari did a good job. It's just I didn't really like. He was very monotone, and I think I was very much, especially after Cobb the day before, who was very upbeat. Yeah, let's go. And even like Chase Owens, who's very, well, he's not not quite Cobb's level of height. He's very he very much knows how to do a good job as a second in commentary. Where Hanari was just there giving information. He did a fine job for the rest of the night. Nothing to write home about, in my opinion. I thought a good overall match. And again, it's more building Davis and Ospreay. It was a lot of their messing each other up, and they pulled the spot that ELP and David Finlay did earlier in the night, where Ospreay hit Chelsea Grin and goes to set up the hidden blade, and that's where Davis tags himself in, and him and Fletcher hit Coriolis, and Davis picks up the win on Honma. Again, it's that it's Davis trying to one up Ospreay going into their March 13th match, and just it's a one-upmanship, and he knows he kind of really has to, because this is Ospreay.
I mean, I don't know if you remember from the 10th show, when I think it was the 10th show, when Davis was actually walking around by commentary. Kevin actually did catch him on audio, and he said that Will Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers, the best wrestler in the world, and he's going to have to face him. So he knows what he's getting into going into a match with Will Ospreay. These matches are really, like you mentioned, really playing into this story really, really well. What I did really like about this match also, though, is just Honma. He's such a joy to watch wrestle, because he is just so gosh dang happy to be there and just be a part of the team. Bishamon, though, getting tricked by Bishamon getting tricked by Will Ospreay, who was laying on the ground waiting for that Kokeshi from Honma, which Bishamon assisted. They helped with the momentum of that one and helped Honma faceplant, essentially Will Ospreay having the presence of mind to get out of the way from that massive Kokeshi. Did you also see, I kind of caught on to this a little bit, Honma doing the TJP face wipes on Will Ospreay in the corner there, washing his face with the lace and then running across just like TJP.
But he's done that. That's not.
I know, but I associate it more with TJP now,
very
because
much
TJP can run.
And he's doing it to TJP's leader, so it's kind of a
exactly. It's like a little bit of a double kind of negative there. But
are you gonna get Honma versus TJP then?
You know, I mean, I'm just gonna say TJP would probably run laps around him, though. Honma, bless his heart, tried so hard, but the run to go across the ring and hit the ropes and come back. It was, yeah, it was effort. It was a bit of effort for him, the poor guy. But I'm never going to get tired of watching him wrestle. I mean, he's so good. He puts 110,000% into everything he does. And the reversal he pulled on Will Ospreay with the hidden blade. Will Ospreay going for that hidden blade. He gets out of the way and does a jumping Kokeshi into Will Ospreay. Like, that was amazing. But yeah, the end coming right after where Davis tags himself in, they hit the Coriolis on Hamna. And my goodness, how well did Hamna take that?
Oh, wonderfully.
So well. So good.
I've seen Yoshi-Hashi not take that move as well. Come on. He did it better than Yoshi-Hashi sometimes. Come on.
I mean, it's just flipping over, man. And hurting your back.
Yeah. But we move on to a tag team match. It is Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kazuchika Okada taking on Ren Narita and Shota Umino. Essentially, the present versus the future. So you got Okada Hashi versus... I came up with 3 names. Call them Shen. Terrible. I know. Umarita. Or Narino.
Why is Umarita so funny?
I don't know. I really like Shen. I like just Shen.
Shen, you know what Shen triggers for me, though? I played Diablo 3, and Covetous Shen was one of the characters, so that all I think about is like a couple 1,000-year-old demigod disguised as an ancient old jeweler.
I think of Shenron from Dragon Ball, the big dragon balls. That's what I think.
Oh my goodness. The young boys taking on the old boys, essentially here.
Yeah, again, the present versus the future, or I guess the past, present, and versus the future, because I guess Tanahashi's kind of on the back end if you think about it. He's the past.
That's true. That's true.
They're the future. They're both 25. I think 25-year-old Umino and Narita, and like,
I think so, yeah.
These two are absolutely tremendous. Like, again, great match. Like both, all 4 men looking really good here, but like, I think Narita and Umino really got to showcase themselves against the top guys. And while like Okada and Tanahashi were pretty dominant in their win and how they got the win, what they gave the guys in the match really did show that these guys are what's coming. These are what's next. These are the guys who are going to battle over this title for years.
100%. 100%. I felt that Narita and Umino worked very, very well together. Obviously, that'll stem from their training in the past as young lions. That's not something that you're gonna forget. Okada really got worked over in this one quite a bit, but as you mentioned, he gave a lot to these guys and really helped showcase them. Something that I wanted to note about Okada, though, when he was getting worked over that first little bit, when he finally did get tag out and get Tanahashi in, he was looking really gassed, really exhausted, which is not what we're used to seeing out of Okada. We're used to seeing him go pretty hard, which told me he worked really hard to give those guys a lot, which is really, really good to hear. But something I have noticed a little bit, kind of starting since the whole Kaido thing happened, we're starting to notice, I don't know if you caught on to this, but we're starting to kind of notice a little bit of like, I almost want to say a dark side of Okada, in that I don't want to say he's sassy. Because he's not. Sassy would insinuate it's fun. He is
sadistic.
He is mad. He constantly seems angry to me all the time, and this match was no different. He almost, I don't want to say seemed annoyed, but there were certain times where, like, when the camera cammed in front of his face, you could just almost see him going, what in the flying is going on right now? And like, he's wearing black now, also the black trunks, the black boots, the black knee pads. Are we maybe looking for a heel turn Okada before his career kind of starts to get to that point where he's, maybe a little too old to?
Please God, yes.
that we have arguably lost one of the biggest and best heels that NJPW had in Jay White. Andre, what do you think about that?
Oh, please, God, yes, because I look at as Okada as NJPW's John Cena, and that I'm tired of him being on top. I was unhappy of him with beating Jay White. I'm unhappy that he's got another long reign ahead of him because I don't see him dropping this till at least later in the year, if not Wrestle Kingdom next year. I would love to see him do what John Cena never did and turn heel, because to me he's in. When I saw this match was on here, I was like, fuck, I need to make jokes about this because I'm not gonna much care for this match. And outside of what Umino and Narita were doing, I didn't much care for this match. Like I didn't care for the Okada and Tanahashi side, because again, Tanahashi, I have less bitterness towards right now because he's found his place. He's not challenging for he challenged for the title at that Strong show, but he's not challenging for the title of the time. He's not in the main event all the time. He's moved himself down the card and still comes up to a main event level when he has to, but it's very much become I'm now a gatekeeper for the company, no longer the guy at the top, and I need Okada to change something because I don't know. I'm just getting very tired.
Well, like I said, we arguably lost the best heel that we have. We don't have what I would consider a dominant heel leader that could potentially challenge for the IWGP Championship. And if you don't have one, well, let's make one. Because his attitude in this one, it was giving me it reached your point in your 30s where you don't give a flying frack anymore about anything, and you just go in there and wreck shit. And I like it. I like seeing it, but feeling like he's still a face, it kind of feels a little weird. And especially in the last bit of this match, when he was finally getting tagged in again, he was mean, very, very dominant, almost aggressively and arrogantly so, to both Umino and Narita. Almost Narita in particular. I felt like he was attacking Narita very specifically. There was also, I just wanted to note something really cute. There was one point where Tanahashi and Shota were standing across from each other, and when they started moving, I didn't know who was who. I was sitting there, I was like, which blonde mullet is which? Their gear was so similar in color and just styling that when they actually started moving around and whipping around, until they stopped moving, I couldn't tell who was who. How incredible is that?
I think so. It's almost a bad thing, and not like a bad, but just it's almost like Gato's blatantly putting Tanahashi's gimmick on Umino, and it's almost a bad thing for Umino in the long run, because if he's just trying to put Tanahashi's gimmick on him, Umino's not going to go.
Who is Umino?
Umino's only going to get so far if he's doing Tana's gimmick. He has to find his own look, his own character. You know what I mean? If that's what it is, I'm not sure. I know he's inspired. They've said it on commentary. The man is in real life inspired by Tanahashi, by Naito, and how he does. But I could see Gato especially putting a Tana gimmick on him because of the similar look, and it's just it's a recipe for disaster in a sense when you put
both these boys. Unfortunately have the misfortune of looking pretty much exactly like wrestlers who have come before them. Shota with Tanahashi and Narita with Katsuyori Shibata. There was one point where they had a close-up on Narita, and I was like, is that Shibata? Who is that? Because it literally looked like Shibata. It's so crazy. But for myself and selfishly, I didn't get to see Tama really in his prime. By the time I started watching, he had already damaged his bicep, so he was starting to kind of filter out a little bit in there. And Shibata was already gone by the time I started watching. He had already done the head thing, and was in recovery and stuff. So I never had the privilege of seeing him until he started wrestling again recently. So yeah, selfishly, I'm like, I'm kind of here for it because it's classic, right? It's vintage, and I like that. But like, I do get your point how it could end up shooting him in the foot, because look at what's happening with Charlotte Flair in the WWE. She's desperately struggling to get out of that very, very large shadow that is Ric Flair, and she's struggling to do it.
Yeah, like I think Narita has an easier path because Shibata's been gone for so long, and true. Even though he's come back a couple times, he's not a regular fixture as part of the thing. So you don't. Yes, you see the comparison, but at least you're divorced enough from that character for the last long time that you can accept Narita for being, and because Narita is literally being touted as the protege.
Yes.
Where Umino's not being touted as Tanahashi's protege. He's more being touted as a Naito protege almost in that sense for the way the stories are telling. Where with but he's so much Tana in all of it, right? So that's where I think Narita has the upper hand, because he's the guy that they've been saying since the beginning. This guy was trained by Shibata. This guy is like his everything is. But what he wants to be is Shibata. So it works that way, where that's just why I have issues with the Umino one a little bit. I love Umino. I want to see him do well. But he's also got Jon Moxley in him, and the way that he does his goddamn way too long entrance.
Yes. Yes, the entrance is way too long.
But we move on. 7 main events evening. Tetsuya Naito, Chase Owens, absolutely phenomenal match. Naito doing this, taking off the clothes slowly, but I love Chase just standing there with his jacket on the whole time, just like waiting, and then slowly taking his jacket off, pretending to fight with the jacket, taking it off. Like, and even Hanare making comments about, sometimes it's just really hard to take your jacket off. It's just like, I love that.
I mean, he wouldn't know, right? Because he wears that giant pleather bathrobe. But like, sometimes those sweaters are a little difficult to get out of. I believe those sweaters are available for purchase on NJPW Shop Global. In case you're interested, if they aren't sold out.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say something else with Naito's entrance that I noted is I absolutely love the subtlety in which he interacts with the fans. I don't know if you noticed, there was a couple times where he actually pulled his fist out from the jacket to fist bump at some of the children who were along ringside, specifically the one who like Chase Owens like punched his little stuffy off of the barricade during his entrance. You can see him like look over and like wink at people and like, smirk and smile. Like, I do love those interactions because it gives those fans that one-on-one experience that they may not have with any other wrestler or at any other point in their fandom, because they might never ever get that close again. So I really enjoyed that about Naito kind of coming into this. But again, you got to love the mind messery with him stripping slow.
I know you enjoy it, but yeah, I thought really these two killed it in this match together. Chase Owens really stepping up like you wouldn't believe. That suck it combination, de Cabron, that
combination Cabron.
Dabron, is it Dabron? I thought it was combination. De Cabron.
Combination Cabron.
Yeah, de Cabron.
No, it's not de.
I thought it was because that's what
there is no de. It's just combination Cabron. No de.
I thought it was combination de Cabron. Whatever. Okay, but the second version was awesome. Like he jumps over, does the second, and then hits the drop kick. I was like, "Yep, I'm down for this." But yeah, these two were absolutely phenomenal in the way they did. I love Kevin Kelly pointing out Naito getting that leg hold, that full Nelson leg hold thing that he does, and then he goes. Kevin says, "But Naito conveniently always forgets how to break the hold."
I mean, I always maintain you're allowed to like something about something and not know everything about it. Gosh dang, Naito.
So Naito's just.
So what you're saying is how to unlock them.
So what you're saying is Naito's just really stupid.
I mean, he's at an age, he's been dropped on his head a few times.
So
We're
Naito's
not
really
going.
so Naito's really stupid.
I mean, he's always checking his eyeball, isn't he?
Yeah, I thought that was like a stigmatism though.
No, you know the actual reason why he does that.
I know,
Because of
just
racism in Mexico.
I know. I just thought it's very funny. But yeah, absolutely
Anyway.
phenomenal match from both these guys. They killed it
Oh,
in this
yeah.
ring. In the end, package times, but Naito pulling out a victory roll, just pinning Owens with again another quick roll up, getting the win. And then Naito just doing the pose in front of Chase just to be a dick. These two, like, I don't want to go too much into it because there's a lot to this match. Watch this thing. These two, like, I know Chase Owens gets a lot of flack. I think the guy has really improved over these last couple of years. I really do recommend seeing this match.
This was actually my favorite gear from Chase Owens because it's like the black base with the white stuff and then the red kind of behind it as little bit of splash of color. Definitely matched more with Naito's gear where he had that tiny bit of a splash of red on there also. Naito also getting his own combinación cabron on Chase Owens later in the match before Chase. I honestly thought he was going to win this one. When he hit that second rope Styles clash, followed by the C trigger, and then was going up for that package pile driver, I was like, God damn, he's going to take this. And like, I wouldn't even be mad about it because again, he just did a second rope style clash, a C trigger, and about to do a freaking package pile driver. Who the heck's going to survive that? Naito was able to obviously reverse that and roll about with him into that victory roll. But man, oh man, 2 Destinos later, Naito was able to pick up this win. I loved this match. I thought this was absolutely great.
Yeah, I absolutely thought phenomenal match of these both. This is one I'm going to highly recommend people go out and see because it's not like your Ospreay over the top big match, but this is just like two guys just having this great wrestling match. Yes, there's some outside stuff, but there's a great wrestling match in here that I really highly recommend anybody who just wants to see good wrestling watch this match.
Yeah,
100%. But we move on to the main event. It's Kenta and Sonata. 29 minutes. This match went 29 minutes. And I enjoyed the last 10 minutes of this. Outside of there's one spot early on that I very much enjoyed, and that's Kenta with the Kenta dice lock, as I'm going to call it. When he busted the tape out,
appropriately named,
and he busted the tape out and taped Sonata's feet to his hands.
I would like to claim that Oiwa was an accomplice in that because Oiwa was the one who actually found the tape and gave it to Kenta.
Very much so. So maybe Oiwa, like Fujita got drafted into TMDK. We get Oiwa being drafted into LIJ, baby. Or into Bullet Club.
I was gonna say Bullet Club.
My brain's not working
because kick his butt now.
I'm thinking of something else. That's why. But yeah, absolutely. Like the first, I'd say 10 to 12 minutes, there was some funny stuff in it, but nothing really like big. It's technical. Like, yeah, it was very technical. Great, great. You did great work. But it's the back half of this match where it really picks up. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Kenta doing his chair stuff and that stuff happens. But dude, both these guys, Kenta with those goddamn palm strikes. Like every time I see him hit somebody with those, I'm like, he's going to hurt somebody one day. Like he's going to concuss somebody with that hit, and it's going to be bad, and it's going to be a huge issue. But yeah, dude, Kenta gets a low blow. Gets his belt, but misses Sonata and Sonata goes for the skull in, but Kenta like smacks him with the belt. But then Sonata like kind of goes back. But then he Kenta's bent over holding the belt. He up kicks it into Kenta's face. I was just like, yes, and it hits that new twisting DDT that he does, gets the win.
Yeah,
dude, these two
looks like a reverse grip Blade Runner to me.
Yeah, very much so. But it's like a Blade Runner, but it's a DDT instead of a downward spiral you finish with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. yeah, where I was kind of getting a little, I wouldn't say annoyed, but kind of like disinterested in the match was when it was very painfully apparent that all Kenta was doing was trying to injure Red Shoes Umino.
Yeah.
It was there's a way to organically do it, and usually people like Kenta and Sonata are a lot better about it. I don't know if the intention was to be so obvious in it, but it was to the point of almost House of Torture
Oh,
obnoxiousness,
yeah.
where it was like, okay, we get it. Yeah. The last thing I wanted to say about this match was the crowd. Crowd was absolutely fire. They were letting Kenta know exactly what they thought of him and his actions, and yeah, it was mentioned quite a few times on commentary how loud and just into this match that the crowd was. I really enjoyed this one. Kenta really did pull out all the stops that he could on this. But I'm not gonna lie, when I was doing the predictions again for the NJPW collection game, when I got to this one, my head said Kenta, but my heart said Sonata. And looks like I got a couple good prizes for it. Because I
Yeah.
was right about that one.
Yeah.
Really, really fun match though. I felt I actually really enjoyed the technicality in the front.
Yeah, like this is again, everybody's talking about March Madness right now. This is my March Madness because there's been a bunch of bracket busters and stuff like just things falling apart. Like there's been bracket because like I would have, as much as I love Sonata, I was picking Kenta to win this,
Mhm.
right? Like, and this again, there's been bracket busters in this whole tournament, man. So like this is gonna be an interesting tournament going towards the finals because I know a couple information from the next couple of nights. Um, dude, I'm excited. I'm very
Mhm.
excited to see where this tournament goes.
Me as well.
So we're gonna move on to the final night that we're gonna talk about here, March 12th. It starts with a tag team match: Ren Narita and Rohei Oiwa versus Asuka Loibe and Tomaki Hama. I had to make a graphic again. And the only
Oh,
one
but
that
look
doesn't have a
at it.
PNG graphic with a clear background is freaking Oiwa. So
Oiwa, the tape
Oiwa,
getter.
yeah. But again, fun little match off the top. Again, man, Loibe needs to go to a goddamn tanning bed. Jesus Christ, he's so
You're
freaking
just saying
shiny.
that because he's standing next to the tone of Homna.
No, but even when he's grappling Narita, he looks way too white. Or even Oiwa, he looks way too white. Like it's just it's too much, man. Loibe I thought did a really fairly good job selling his
Mhm.
leg. Like
Yes.
because they were really working his leg in this match, and he did a good
Mhm.
job of limping a lot. Yes, towards the end he had to like speed it up, but again, that's everybody with
Mhm.
anybody selling leg. But he did a really good job.
100%.
Hanma always in there hitting those headbutts. It's just so much fun to watch wrestle a match.
Okay.
Kokeshi's everywhere. Loibe gets the Boston Crab, goes for a slam, but he gets like a, and instead he gets a big boot. He
Mhm.
misses his leg drop, and Narita hits an enziguri, applies a figure four, and Loibe taps out. Again, great little opener.
I have to agree. I really, really enjoyed the transition that Narita did into the Indian Deathlock on Loibe to really start working on that leg. The Indian
Mm.
Deathlock is actually one of my favorite submissions. I'm very disappointed that not a lot of people do it. The only person that
Cody,
I've what's that?
Cody Rhodes does it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Cody. Which one? You know how many Codys that we know in wrestling? Uh,
I know
um,
two.
the only other one that I thought of before that was actually Desperado.
Yeah.
Desperado has done it a few times, but before then, couldn't tell you who does it. One of my favorites, so very effective and very, I would almost say a cocky submission because you're left pretty much hands free to do whatever you want. Narita being actually a very, very dignified about it and not, doing the Desperado route where he would just start feeding the guy shots while he's also got him in the death lock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. I really did enjoy Narita and Hamna. Hamna's just a treasure. He's just jacked. I would actually say Owens was more jacked than Oiwa in this one. He was probably the best bod in the ring again, which is kind of bad with all the young boys in there. However, this was a good opener.
Yeah, I thought fun little opening match.
Mm-hmm.
So we move on. It's Shota Umino and Yuto Nakashima taking on TMDK's Ichiban Spice Boy. Is it? Ichiban Sweet Boy. Ichiban Sweet Boy. Kosei Fujita.
Spice Boy.
and the front man, Zack Sabre Jr.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ichiban Spice Boy. Whew. I think maybe
it makes more sense.
Probably the spicy one.
It makes more sense with well, he's the hot shot. It comes up when you see their graphic.
There you go.
Shot. Yeah, but
see?
Doesn't Spice make more sense than Sweet with Ichiban?
Hey, I mean, whatever floats your boat. And speaking of the Ichiban Sweet Boy, him and Nakashima starting this match, and holy hot diggity, was Nakashima pissed.
Yeah.
He was just feeding into Fujita. And something that Kevin was mentioning is that it almost seems like there was an unofficial graduation for Fujita. That made me think, have we seen Fujita at ringside in the last 3 shows?
I'm not really looking for them, but I personally
have not. I'm realizing I have not. I have spotted Loibe. I have spotted Bolton. I have spotted Nakashima because he's usually scuttling off with everybody's robes. And I have seen Oiwa, but I have not seen Fujita. So I'm wondering if there might have been an unofficial graduation for Fujita and now he's considered TMDK. Regardless, I'm happy with him being in TMDK. I mean, it works for a really great story, but also works for the team really, really well. Gives them something to kind of give a story and focus to. But yeah, what was the move that he was teaching him in this one again?
Again, it was another. The same thing as the day before. It was like arm wringer and flip over. Like it was the arm wringer and then like the snap mare over while holding the arm wringer. It was instead of the pullover, it was the snap mare one this time.
Right.
And Sabre did add in when he went and he put the arm in a certain position and stomped it. Fujita didn't do that part because he was having trouble just getting the arm wringer and the snap mare over, so he didn't add in the stomp part. But yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, Nakashima is quite a bit taller than Fujita. But when Fujita did get that snap, he actually got him. It looked it was a little rough. It needs a little tidying, but he still got it. And it was pretty impressive that he did. Zack Sabre Jr.'s soccer kick, though. Holy hot diggity. When he kicked Shota in the back with that thing, the clap off of that was absolutely insane. So loud. Zack Sabre Jr. just so smart with his wrestling. I would say he's probably the smartest wrestler in professional wrestling today. But that Shota had a really fun ending there with his Boston Crab teaching essentially to Fujita, reminding him where his roots kind of came from. Andre, how'd you feel about this one?
Yeah, it's a great finish. So yeah, Umino hit that beautiful exploder at the end there, and then Nakashima was the best part, holding Sabre back, and then because Umino's sitting there with that Boston Crab, and then turns it into the STF. Like, yeah, I really and like you see Sabre just out of reach, and he's just like. He's just trying to grab at Umino and or at Yujiro or at Fujita, trying to pull him, and just you can see the desperation and Nakashima doing a good job holding him back. But yeah, I thought great overall match from both these teams.
And Fujita held on for a very long time in that STF. He waited a really long time for Zack Sabre Jr. to get in there and try to rescue him. So impressive that he was able to do that.
All I could think is that song from Smallville, "Somebody Save Me."
Help, I need somebody.
Oh, yeah. So we move on. 8-man tag, Bullet Club's Chase Owens, David Finlay, El Phantasmo, and Kenta taking on Just For It, guys. They play Happy Birthday for Kenta over the loudspeaker because his Kenta birthday on the 12th. And that's when Just Four Guys attack because they ruined his birthday celebration. What jerks. Again, more attacking before the bell. And I'm just like, I'm kind of over it.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, these are two of the teams that would do it, though.
Yeah, but Just Four Guys usually aren't those guys to do it.
I mean, when they were Suzuki-gun, they were.
Sort of, yeah. Dude, there's a spot where Just Four Guys triple super kick ELP, and Taka gets the just face lock on him. Chase comes in, but he's doing the thing of, come on. But because it's the first time Chase has done it to ELP, because ELP's been doing it to Chase in every match. And
You mean
like,
Finlay?
come on. Oh, sorry, Finlay.
I was like, Chase. I mean, Chase is a next level asshole right now, but not that next level.
I'm sorry, I wrote the wrong name down. Finlay getting in there, and he's like, "Come on, get to the ropes, let's go, come on, get to the ropes." And yeah, it was nice to see them reverse it. And then ELP hits Taka with the sudden death, gets the win at the end there. Again, another fun little match. I'll say this, like. I look at Chase and I'm like, well, what is this guy going to do? Because, like, if you look at it, he has history with ELP because they've tagged together in the past. Like, they're friends. They've tagged together when they were both juniors. And then you look at, like, but now he's got Finlay, who's looking almost like a de facto leader to the group now. And it's like, what the hell is Chase going to do?
Yeah, I mean, which I disagree with. I don't think that Finlay is leadership material.
As I said, de facto.
Now. Yeah, de facto, like in a not so serious one, because like I wouldn't put Finlay right now in a match for Okada for the IWGP Championship. Not right now. He needs a little bit more work. The question I've been wanting to ask you, though, again, it's this dynamic between David Finlay and ELP. We're seeing ELP acting very differently than what he usually is. He's usually that dick who's like, throwing Naito hats and yelling at the crowd. Now he's too sweeting everybody. He's facey. He's tasting a little facey. So could we be looking at a Bullet Club implosion with sides being chosen of ELP and David Finlay? And are these matches, these 6-man tag matches, these 8-man tag matches, these 10-man tag matches, are these the startings and the showings of ELP and Finlay trying to bring in certain people? Because as you mentioned, Chase Owens, friends with ELP, has tagged with him in the past, but over the last few nights in the entrances, we notice he's coming in closer to Finlay than he is with ELP. He's actually walking more and talking more with Finlay and criticizing ELP when ELP's too sweet in the crowd and playing with the signs, whereas Kenta is with ELP. And Kenta is like, oh, yeah, my sign, my book, hey, too sweet. Like, could we be seeing, again, another implosion of, like, the GOD Bullet Club split off, losing a few members, seeing maybe ELP end up in GOD, maybe ELP start his own thing? What do you think, Andre?
I just hope it's the entire, like I said, I hope the Bullet Club goes away. At this point, they don't need to be there. It's a faction as it exists as it is. It just doesn't need there. Like, I wouldn't mind this fact, like Bullet Club just going away and then Gato just creating a couple of new factions. Like, I'd be very okay with that. And you could have Finlay versus ELP, faction versus faction. But I'm okay. Like, if Finlay gets control of them, a Bullet Club, or if ELP gets control of Bullet Club and the other one has his own faction, some without, and they go to war, I'm fine with that. But I'm okay with it not neither faction being Bullet Club. Just let the small groups within Bullet Club go on their own merry way. Like,
I mean, I already consider House of Torture its own thing.
No,
whether it does or not, I consider it as such.
But the Rogue Army, they're technically part of Bullet Club, but they haven't been here. Let them just be their own faction as its own, like that group that Bad Luck's Folly's been forming in Tamashi.
Yeah, the one in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah. So it's the Australian Bullet Club. Just let them be the Rogue Army. They don't need a Bullet Club association there. Like, just it's just kind of what I'm looking at this point. It's kind of like I'm a little tired of it. I'm like, there's a lot of things that are making me tired of in professional wrestling, and Bullet Club is as a faction, as a whole unit, is kind of, and I was all about the Bullet Club for years. I have Bullet Club merch. I have a t-shirt right here. My entirety of my gear that we made for our Front Row Mafia stuff was based around Bullet Club. The other shirt literally has guns on it, and it has the logo, but with the guns like this in the shape of the same way the Bullet Club does their symbol.
Turnbuckle Talk, our friend Carl Carafel, same thing.
And again, I love what it's done and what it's inspired, but again, I don't think it needs to be there anymore. Suzuki Gun ran for a lot of years. They disbanded. I think they're better for it because some guys have moved on to create their own new things. Which
I think the big difference, though, between Suzuki Gun and Bullet Club is Bullet Club did see a massive, almost revolving door of members, whereas Suzuki Gun was pretty constant.
Which I
do agree. I would like to see Bullet Club whittled down. I definitely feel, as I've said in the past, it's a little too big for its britches right now. They need to take in a few sizes. Call the herd.
Yeah, but again, it was a really fun match overall.
100%.
It's just my feelings on where Bullet Club's at right now. But we get another 8-man tag. You have United Empires, Great Khan, Jeff Cobb, Mark Davis, and Will Ospreay taking on House of Torture. I'm not going to even go through them because screw those guys. Again, more House of Torture bullshit off the top. Oh, sorry. I wrote this was, this beginning was so original. House of Torture attack for the bell. Wait, no, they do that every time.
Right. I wrote the same thing. House of Torture jumpstart.
The best part of this match for me, though, was Kevin Kelly. When Cobb gets all 4 members of House of Torture in the corner, and he goes to splash them, Kevin Kelly calls it the Big Squisher.
I didn't hear that. That's amazing.
I did, and I wrote it down. I wrote Cobb gets the Big Squisher on all of House of Torture, dude. It was so good. I'm just gonna hop to the end here. Togo gets a garrote on to Khan, but Khan fights out. Everyone hitting moves on each other. It's all crazy nonsense. Ospreay and Davis come together, hit Coriolis, and then Khan gets the Sheep Killer onto Dick Togo, taps out. United Empire win. No surprise here. Like all 4 of these members still in the tournament. There was no way any of these men were taking a loss. So yeah. It was an all right match.
Yeah. I actually noted the last note that I had was the Empire did the impossible and made a House of Torture match interesting. Like, this was actually a really great match. They told a great story. Will Ospreay getting choked by the t-shirt. He was doing a great sell on that at the beginning there. There was that double back body drop that Cobb did on Show and Yujiro. Absolute perfection. I really enjoyed when Cobb was trying to go tag out to Great Khan, and Dick Togo was hanging onto his foot, and Cobb's just like, yeah, this is nothing for me. And he just sort of walks over to the corner, dragging Togo behind him. I felt that was actually really funny. It made House of Torture interesting. I was really, really happy with that. It was actually a fun match.
Like, Jeff Cobb is just this purely great. He's so great to watch him in ring, but he's so great for all the physical comedy and just humor that you can get in the wrestling ring. This guy is so well-rounded. Yeah. So we move on. 10-man tag. Chaos is Leo Rush, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, Yo, and Yoshi-Hashi taking on LIJ's Bushi, or essentially the entirety of LIJ. I don't have to list all the members. It's the entire group outside of maybe Teton, but all the main guys that are over in Japan, anyways. Ishii and Takagi, just 2 men just smashing into each other. Oh, I was loving that, man. And like we talked, Leo Rush, that athleticism is insanity. Oh yeah, that's where I wrote it down in this one, dude. It's just this guy can't stop this guy. He's so good.
I actually made a note that he's like an over-leveled character in a game that you have set on easy.
Yeah, that's essentially what he is.
He really is.
And hopefully, because he's over-leveled, he gets the championship on the 21st.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I love Hiromu Takahashi, but much like Okada, I am starting to get a little sick and tired of seeing him always holding that belt. And I definitely want to see him do something else. I feel that there's more things that he can do, not just within this company, but outside of this company as well. Get
Bulk
in
up.
shape.
No, bulk up. Bulk up. Because
I mean, get in shape would be probably helpful for him because it would help him bulk up.
But yeah, he when he's in there with like when he's in there against like a Yoshi-Hashi, against an Ishii, even a Yano, who are bigger guys than him, I
Yeah.
very much enjoy him, and I think if he bulks up a little bit, he could be like I think put him in the never division, put him in the U.S. title division, whatever.
It worked for Ospreay. Why wouldn't it work for him? Yeah.
So I'm saying I think Hiromu can easily make that graduation. It's just you already have 3 prominent members of that team in the heavyweight division. I think moving Hiromu up almost as a detractor because he kind of becomes where does he fit as one of the heavyweights in that team? That's the real question.
That's true. I would almost say that if we want to, because Sonata, I mean, I love Sonata, but I don't know how much of a push he's going to get to a singles championship. Could we see Hiromu join Sonata, have a run at the IWGP-World Tag Championships?
That'd be awesome.
That being said, we would have to see some more members for LIJ regular in Japan because, I mean, what's Bushi going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, he could go for the title.
You need to get Teton back over.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't mind seeing another member in there.
Yeah.
Maybe like somebody from another company or something.
That'd be
Throw
nice.
a monkey wrench in there. Surprise me. I want a surprise, please.
How about a monkey in a Bushi mask?
I don't know if they could make them that small.
Oh, that'd be great.
There was one Bushi mask in the crowd that looked exactly like the Bushi mask in this picture, though.
You got a Bushi.
Just one.
End of this match comes. Sonata and Bushi hit planchas onto the floor. Yano takes advantage of Naito, but Naito crushes him in the corner. Takagi hits the pumping bomber. Naito gets a jackknife pin. They get the win. And then Naito proceeds to bully Yano after the match. Runs him into the exposed turnbuckle. Then him and Takagi run him into the exposed turnbuckle again. And Kevin Kelly the entire time is, why is Yano trying to run into the barricades? Why is he doing that to himself? Like I was just like, come on, Kevin, you're a dick.
Kevin is a treasure.
Yeah. And then the best part about the next match, one of the best parts, Jeff Cobb's doing commentary.
He was.
But yeah, this match was absolutely tremendous from both men. Dude, the back and forth these guys having, like the gun, like all the gun stun reversals that Hanare had, dude, they were killing it, man. Like there's a great spot where Tama hits the Volano and then follows it up with a beautiful brainbuster, but gets only a 2 count. Like, dude, these guys are just so good. Like, there's a point where Hanare's just got like, he's just got the back of the neck and he's just throwing those knees into Tama, and you can see Tama's face just like, like just the pure like that pain on his face, dude. These guys are so good. These two absolutely killed it. There's that like Hanare went for the rampage at one point, and dude Tama gets a sunset flip out of it, and like to reverse the rampage. Each guy kind of figured out how to reverse each other's big moves. It was looking really good. And then the ending, that's the biggest reversal of it all. Hanare goes for Streets of Rage. Tama reverses it, hits the gun stun from the shoulders down to the mat, then hits another gun stun and gets the win. These two absolutely killed it.
100%. As you mentioned earlier in the video, Tama losing the top right away. And again, I ain't gonna complain about that. Hanare, again, throwing Tama out to the outside. And as I mentioned earlier, United Empire, just very comfortable, very competent, very good. Working those outside moments, the outside barriers. Yeah, overwhelming Tama very, very quickly, very, very easily. When he threw Tama back into the ring, he was pretty much ground pounding him. He was sitting on top of him, just feeding him those forearms. There was one point where they were actually fighting in the corner, and Marty actually had to put himself in between the two of them and actually pull Hanari off when he was feeding Tama gut shots. It was absolute brawl for these two. And you could tell, especially at the beginning there, like, I don't know if you saw the entrances, but Hanari's just standing there watching Tama. Tama comes in and just shoulder checks him out of the way, like, get out of the way, brah. Like, it was so intense from start to finish. The Berserker Bomb from Hanari is just absolutely amazing. But yeah, my favorite, I think, reversal of the gun stun was when Hanari did it into that full Nelson towards the end there. Because I didn't think that he was going to be able to catch Tama in that full Nelson just because the traps. His traps, his shoulders, they're pretty big. And as big as Hanari is, I mean, Tama is pretty much the same size as Hanari, with a little bit, I would say a little bit more definition, maybe across the back. But yeah, I felt that this match was absolutely insane. It was a straight up brawl. I absolutely love this match.
Yeah, there's actually another great spot where Hanari reversed the gun stun. He reverses the gun stun into like a pop-up Samoan drop.
Yeah,
that was when he got it and then threw him up and then just bang hit that. I was like, oh shit, yeah. But yeah, dude, absolutely tremendous. Again, this is another one I highly recommend you go and watch because these two just killed it.
100%.
And then our final match of the show, the main event of March 12th, Hirooki Goto with Yoshi-Hashi against Kyle Fletcher with Great O'Connor and Mark Davis in his corner. Dude, these guys just, again, Fletcher just, like, going for broke in this match, and Goto just, like, Goto sold for, like, a good 75% of this match. He got some great offense in.
Yeah.
But this was, like, a lot of this was Fletcher.
100%. 100%.
Like, dude, they killed it in this match, man. Goto pulling out planchas in this match. And like, even Kevin and Cobb are saying he's got to do something because he knows he has to step up his game against Kyle here because this isn't just like it's you know he knows who his opponent is. He has to step it up. And the fact that he's pulling out moves that he doesn't do, like planchas, he does that very rarely. So he's busting out stuff he doesn't do regularly. But both these guys just like amazing. That top rope moonsault to the floor by Fletcher. Mwah, chef's kiss, because I guess I say it all the time. Dude, enziguri to the back of the head by Fletcher at one point and goes to pile drive Goto, but Goto fights it off and gets a roll up out of it. Like, dude, then Fletcher hitting the tombstone. But Goto kicking out that last millisecond, just as a match, the hands like right there. He's just like
the splittiest of a split second.
Oh, dude, it was crazy, dude. These two just go, it goes nuts. In the end, Fletcher gets caught in the corner, hits the rope, and Goto gets the rope assist GTR. Okay, before I get to that code red off the top that Goto hit.
Oh yeah, I popped for that one.
Like the fact that he busted out a code red off the top was absolutely phenomenal, dude. And then just standing though, rope assist GTR hits the Ushigoroshi and hits the regular GTR for the win. Goto moving on to the next round. Absolutely tremendous match. This for sure. It's going on my list for this year in my top match.
You made the list.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, this one again, very, very fun with United Empire. Again, Kyle Fletcher, very comfortable, very confident on the outside there, taking Goto out there very quickly, throwing him into the crowd, almost getting a count out fairly quickly from Goto. Yoshi-Hashi really having to will Goto back to the ring there. Cobb on commentary complaining the whole time that Yoshi-Hashi's there. I loved it. Only thing I want to add to this is, again, Fletcher, those chops, those kicks, everything are so heckin' loud. So loud. His forearms, everything, just so loud. But what impressed me the most about this is Goto is one of those indomitable forces in New Japan. He's known for being notoriously hard to put down. But Fletcher in this one did not back down from that at all. He was giving it his all too, and he wouldn't go down for a very, very long time also. Tremendous fight between the two of these guys. I absolutely love this one. But those Yoshi-Giroshis, man, they look so rough. They look so nasty. Goto does them so well. Just a well-earned win on this one. I'm very pleased with the Samurai win. I was expecting Fletcher to win this one. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too.
But I'm very happy with the Samurai.
Yeah, my entire bracket's messed up now in this tournament. Like, I'm gonna bring it back
Everything's
up.
Snookered.
I'm gonna bring it back up. You got Hirooki Goto moving on to face off against Tama Tonga in the next round. You have Sonata going on to take on Tetsu and Naito. So Battle of LIJ in the next round. And you still have Evil versus Jeff Cobb and Davis versus Ospreay on the 13th. Then you have on the 15th, you have Finlay versus Great O'Khan, and you can't really see it, but Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shota Umino. And then, the 17th is Sonata and Taichi, and the 18th is Goto and Tama Tonga. Yeah, dude, but absolutely tremendous professional wrestling here. I should make that smaller. And then make us bigger, because we've come to the end of the show. I know this one's gone very long, so I'm going to try to get through all of our spiel very, very quickly. Big shout out to Rogue Energy. Go to scan the QR code and go to rogueenergy.com for use promo code OLEPODS for 10% off your order. And speaking of OLE, you want to give our friends a shout out over at Our Local Establishment at twitch.tv/Our Local Establishment, Instagram and TikTok, OLE Podcast, and youtube.com/Our Local Establishment. You can check out a lot of great shows there. Usually we list them off, but it's very late. We're gonna
There's a lot of shows.
We're gonna
check it out.
A lot of great content, but you might be watching us on Backbreaker Video. If you are, please subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/@backbreakervideo. Also check out Mike's gaming stuff at youtube.com/@backbreakergaming. That's that stuff up there. And check out his Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Mike the Ref. And if you are watching us on Backbreaker Video, please give us a follow over here on YouTube at youtube.com/Andre Melball Wrestling Talk. You can check out all of our socials scrolling on the bottom there. I've added Mastodon and Hive to it finally.
Oh, look at you go.
And then you check us out, Andre Melball, on Facebook, where you can check us out there. Mel's constantly updating a lot of that. She tends to run most of the socials for that one. I'll admit that. So Twitter for myself at that Canada guy, Instagram at that Canada dude, Mastodon Hive at that Canada guy. And Mel, you want to drop yours, and then we'll get back.
And you can follow Melball on Twitter at Collins Melball. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and Mastodon at Melball Collins. And also, lastly, if you are wanting to watch NJPW, you can go to NJPW-World.com. It is 999 yen. Right now, it's going for like $730 US. But we still like to do the perfect 10 here because we love Sean Spears here in Edmonton, Alberta. He's still our PWA champion, isn't he? One of the Commonwealth champions, isn't he?
Esteemed, I think, or whatever the heck that belt was.
Whatever they were calling it before they went Kaplerko. And that being said, I am your Melball. Over there is that your Canadian dude, Andre. We will see you next time. Adios.